As Uganda fought for independence in the 1950s and 1960s, the church was not silent but indirectly welcomed the idea of having Uganda managing her own affairs. Bishop Emeritus Edward Muhima of North Kigezi diocese begins by thanking God for having enabled Uganda attain independence.
We have evidence that it was independence indeed. And so we thank God that we became independent, began to rule ourselves rather than depending on foreigners, rather than depending on the British, who had been ruling Uganda for over 60 years. And so when we became independent, it was a great joy for Ugandans to really feel they were now in control of themselves.
How was the church involved in the fight for independence?
The church was not directly involved, but it was involved, especially in the elections. As you know, there were parties. The main two parties were DP and UPC. And because of the competition between DP, which was predominantly Catholic, and UPC, which was predominantly Protestant, there was a lot of hustling, to the extent that many people in the Protestant church referred to DP as Dini ya Papa, DP. And then the Catholics also referred to UPC as the United Protestants of Canterbury, UPC.
Were there some notable church leaders who were at the forefront in the fight?
Many people referred to them about certain areas of political areas. That's why they associated some of the church leaders with this, they associated some of the leaders with certain political parties. For example, the Anglicans were associated with UPC. They associated the Archbishop with UPC. The Catholics had their own association, and so you had the Catholic Church here, you had the Protestant Church here, and the two were parallel.
It is well known that churches were mostly started, managed and supported by Europeans. Didn't the church suffer a setback since the masterminds were stepping down?
We inherited what the missionaries brought. And when we became independent, we remained a church, and then political parties continued. There was no conflict, as far as I know. There was no conflict between political parties and the church, because the church was the church, independent of any political upheavals.
Retired Bishop Muhima notes that there has been a lot of change since 1962.
Yeah, a lot has changed. I mean, many people tend to think that for you to be a good leader, you must have the support of one particular group of people. But really, what has happened is that you can be a member of a certain denomination and supported by people from the opposite denomination.
This is News at 8.
Uganda is born again, free and independent.